morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. Today, we're talking about none other than Quant Network. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve System, the FedNow, which is America's instant payment settlement system. We're talking about the UK's upgrade to their infrastructure, their real-time gross settlement system. And we're going to get the take directly, and I mean directly, from Gilbert Verdian's mouth himself. I want y'all to stay tuned to this one, okay, you guys? But that first video is my boy Maximus Crypto. What he's doing is he's talking about Gilbert Verdian, his ties to the Federal Reserve, and a little bit of FedNow. Here we go, that first video.
Back on August 7th of 2020, he stated that the Federal Reserve released a paper on the FedNow service, interbank retail settlement system, and he was glad to have been part of the Secure Payments Task Force until 2018 to help with the idea and concept, bringing experience from the UK. Okay, that sounds super cool, but there has to be more to it than just this. And the answer basically is yes. August 6th of 2020, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System posted this thing about the future retail payments in the United States. It states here that the FedNow service was to facilitate end-to-end instant payment services for consumers, businesses, increase competition, and ensure equitable access to banks of all sizes nationwide. And that is through direct connections, as in FedNow, we have with more than 10,000 banks. The FedNow service will be broadly accessible to banks and the communities they serve across the country. Now there's statements in regards to not just expanding FedNow, but to expanding the strength for the U.S. payment infrastructure by basically operating alongside private sector instant payment service, the clearinghouse. Look at that, guys, RTP network. This is FedNow's competition. So it's not that they want to become a monopoly. All right, so how is Quant involved in all this? And more importantly, this statement about how the Federal Reserve has always had a vital role in the payment system. And by doing what? Providing liquidity and operational continuity in times of stress, the FedNow service will extend its role directly into the instant payments market. Together, FedNow and RTP, again, their direct competitor, services should significantly increase the speed and efficiency of the U.S. payment system.
Now you guys just saw Gilbert Verdian's ties to the Federal Reserve going back for years. You saw information in regards to the FedNow and what they're hoping to do, right? Now, the FedNow launched a little over a year ago. So at around that year mark, the Federal Reserve themselves put out a video bragging and boasting about the innovations that's been happening over the last year. So when this next video is coming directly from the Federal Reserve, you guys, stay tuned. Here's that video.
The launch of the FedNow service was a milestone for the Federal Reserve. It's part of the new wave of payment innovation that is rapidly gaining steam across the industry. We started with 35 institutions, and 12 months later, our network has grown to more than 900. The 24/7, 365 availability to settle into a bank account gives businesses and consumers the ability to tap into instant clearing and settlement. Our goal, over time, is for instant payments to be ubiquitously available and broadly used. We're in this for the long haul and will remain dedicated to continually refining the service to meet the wide-ranging needs of institutions all across the country.
The innovation this year has been amazing to see. We've worked closely with the industry to make sure we're addressing the evolving needs of the payments ecosystem as we add features and functionality. One financial institution, through its partnership with a leading fintech, is giving businesses the opportunity to pay employees immediately after their work shift. Other institutions are enabling immediate account-to-account transfers for businesses and consumers, and are planning for instant loan repayments, insurance reimbursements, and so much more. Collaboration with financial institutions and industry groups has been at the forefront of the FedNow service since its inception.
The launch of the FedNow service last year was just the beginning. The FedNow service will continue to grow and evolve right alongside the industry. The innovative cloud-based technology platform gives us the flexibility to be responsive to user needs. It means the service is fully scalable, resilient, secure, and designed with the future in mind. In a 24/7 environment, we know managing risks around fraud and liquidity concerns is important, so we're adding new tools to help financial institutions and service providers manage these risks. Offering instant payment solutions is an opportunity to stay competitive and to meet the evolving needs of customers. No matter what size your institution or which customers you serve, it's important to not get left behind. FedNow is not the future, it is now.
Now, y'all just heard directly from the Federal Reserve themselves and how excited they are about the innovation that has taken place over the past year. And that was actually a few months back. So now think that 900 institutions has probably grown to thousands of institutions. And it's because you have certain mandates that are going live now that we're in 2025, in March and in April and in June and so forth and so on around the world in regards to all these systems getting updated and upgraded, okay? Follow me on this. But this next video is actually a collaboration coming from Maximus Crypto and yours truly. We're talking about the real-time growth settlement system of the UK's infrastructure upgrade, okay? Follow me on this because I'm tying the FedNow and I'm tying this real-time growth settlement system directly to Gilbert Verdian, okay? Follow me on this. Here we go, that next video.
And you could search it for yourself. If you type in Bank of England Core Ledger Quant, well, shout out to our brother Sebastian in the space. He brought this up in the X space. And what do you see? The Bank of England's new core ledger and settlement basically engine for the real-time gross settlement RTGS system is a collaboration between the bank and Quant. Wow. The new core ledger is part of that RTGS renewal program, which aims to improve the UK's high-value payment system. This was cited originally from October 24th, just a few months ago. But again, on the bottom, it says the introduction of the new RTGS core ledger and settlement engine will take place in spring of 2025, and it even mentions mandate. Now that's big. RTGS renewal program, and as we drop it further down, the vision. The vision is to develop an RTGS service which is fit for the future, increasing resilience, access, and wider interoperability, improve user functionality, and strengthen end-to-end risk management of the UK's high-value payment system. Again, the visuals, everybody, look what it says. Increase resilience, greater access, again, interoperability. I think all of these things are definitely worth pointing out. And again, spring 2025, and having the whole thing of mandate certain elements, enhance data from the 1st of May 2025, and from that date, chaps will rule its requirement of purpose codes and some of these other technical things in regards to messaging and so on. So when we talk about that orchestration on ISO 222 through TC 307, I think is a huge deal. And does Quant reference anything in regards to high value? Well, guess what, everybody? The answer is yes. Back in April 2022, cybersecurity and risk considerations for CBDCs. One approach could be to have different treatments for low and high value payments. The technology exists to build an infrastructure that can safeguard users' privacy for lower value transactions and ensure high value transactions are subject to anti-money laundering and compliance checks.
Now you guys just saw that infrastructure upgrade to the UK's real-time gross settlement system is set to go live spring of 2025, the year that we sit in right now today. And understand what a real-time gross settlement system is. We're talking about all of the transactions that flow through literally the country. Think about that volume beginning to move through things like DLT and different DLT systems and operating systems like Overledger. Think about these things, okay? Think about it. But this next video, Yo, it is Gilbert Verdian. Okay, this interview was maybe about 5 or 6 minutes long, but listen to it. He talks about FedNow. He talks about his connections with with the Federal Reserve of America. He talks about the digital pound. He talks about the real-time gross settlement system of the UK. He talks about all of these things out of his own mouth. Follow me on this, and to know that he is the CEO of Quant Network. He is a part of ISO TC307. He is the convener of the working group 7, I believe, which is the working group for interoperability. He is a part of the IETF's secure asset transfer protocol, and so much more as far as standards and as far as governmental bodies globally, as far as current seats that he sits in today and former seats that he used to sit in. This is nobody to just not listen to what they're saying, because this is a man that has knowledge and power globally. Follow me on this. But here's that interview coming directly from Gilbert Verdian himself. Sit back, relax. I'll be right back.
From Cryptoverse, enabling enterprise adoption. Think about that statement. Pushing crypto into the mainstream. Gilbert Verdian joins Santiago Velez to discuss the Quant and Overledger projects and the problems they were built to help solve.
Real-time gross settlement system.
Real-time gross settlement. So what that means is, so the UK has had faster payments since 2008 when it was implemented. And what that means is when you're setting a transaction between you and someone else through your banks, it's in real time. The US has only just received that in the last couple of years. TCH was the first one, so I worked on that project through VocalLink in my previous role. That's to connect 14,000 banks to the TCH system, and even more recently, the Fed in the US is becoming a service provider with FedNow. So they're looking at providing real-time settlement between different banks and parties as well. So when you're doing bank transfers, the money actually doesn't leave banks until there's a settlement time, which is every few hours, and that settlement basically does a net settlement between what you owe to the other bank in terms of all your customers, what the other bank owes to you, and then you settle that into the account in the central bank, and that's how you have settlement between different banks. So RTGS runs that system, that the economy for that.
So can I ask you a quick question along that? So what we hear now, a lot of people are getting very excited around central bank digital currency, CBDCs. Would CBDCs play a role in RTGS, or are they more designed essentially for central banks to? Do they have a wholesale component, or are they for retail? What's your view on CBDCs?
Yeah, it's a good question. So just back to the Bank of England example. So they're updating their RTGS in a program called RTGS Renewal. It's public. What they're looking to do is the next RTGS system is going to be blockchain compatible. So they're not going to put it on blockchain because the technology is not there for it, and it's not really designed for an RTGS system. That's a separate, high availability system. So what that means is the future RTGS system is going to be able to talk digital assets, and that's important because that's where CBDCs come in. So the view across industry, and we've been working a lot with regulators, with central banks, with the higher order of the banking system, and the view is central bank digital currencies will be here. That they're not a theoretical thing anymore. Even today, I've seen on Twitter a very a crude example of the digital yen in China. Digital yuan in China, and someone just went to a convenience store and used it as a digital wallet and just bought a drink. So the CBDC discussion is not optional. It will happen. Everyone is actively working on it. There's reports from the IMF, from BIS, from the FSB that's showing the activity. And what CBDCs will do is complement the money system, because money is very difficult to move. If you're doing small transactions, you have to do reconciliation, you have to do taxation after profits. The settlement of money has to exchange hands and then move into different banks, and then it gets settled into RTGS. So it's a difficult medium of value to transact with, but cash is still widely used. So moving away from pure cash, the CBDC that will be issued is another way for people to have a government-backed form of money that's trusted because it's backed by the central bank, and it's widely adopted because the rails are already there. It's just going to complement the payment and settlement rails that already exist, and eventually it'll get tied into RTGS. So the architecture and the thinking behind central banks, from our experience, there's going to be two types. So there's going to be a central bank issued wholesale CBDC, and that CBDC will be large value. It will be hundreds of millions, billions of pounds or dollars or euros that will be issued to the banks, the commercial banks that are already regulated and supervised within the RTGS system. Those commercial banks, what it allows them to do is issue retail CBDCs. So the model is quite flexible. So this is where the synthetic CBDCs come in as well. So then those banks will have authorization to issue. If they've got 100 million wholesale CBDC from the central bank, they can issue 100 million worth of retail CBDCs and put it out into the system. And so what this actually does, it allows those banks to free up cash in the event of a downturn, in the event of some sort of strain or risk to the financial system. They don't have to constantly put up cash into the central bank accounts. They can actually transact with CBDCs within the banks themselves, within retail. They can also, within interbank payments, use wholesale CBDCs to settle differences between the banks themselves. And then at the end of the day, when they want to cash up and settle, they can take the wholesale CBDC and then settle with the central bank, and then they get the cash injected into their account, net settlements on the central bank accounts. So it frees up cash, which is good for the economy because it allows the banks to do loans to businesses, to households. It allows people to withdraw cash, to spend, and also allows debit credit cards to operate in the same way. So it frees up all this capital. So CBDC plays not just a technical role, but a monetary role within the financial system, and it's there to complement the existing cash system, the existing low value retail and large value systems as well. And it's a great tool to test monetary and other policies.
Now, did I lie? Did I lie? No, you just heard him talk about FedNow. You heard him talk about the real-time gross settlement system of the UK. You heard him talk about his ties to different things like VocaLink and 11,000 banks and all types of things, okay? Follow me on this, you guys. This is nothing to just look over and understand exactly what he is doing with things like Quant Network and their operating system Overledger, and how it ties into every single blockchain in existence, and how it ties into the traditional rails of what we currently use as far as businesses, processes, and payments. This is nothing. We tied them to the EU as far as things like EBA Day and talking about programmable payments. We've tied them to the UK, the Bank of England, Project Rosalind. We tied them to now the Federal Reserve of America. We've tied them to the Canada with Project Rosalind as well. We've tied them to Australia. He literally built out the Australian blockchain system that they currently use for their healthcare today. Think about these things. This is nothing not to just really tap in and really focus on. Do not worry about Quant Network's QNT price action right now. Don't think of it short term. Don't think of it in 2025, but think of 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032 of these processes actually up and running and being utilized on mass global networks. Follow what I'm saying, okay? But I thank y'all for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. I thank y'all for tapping in. And if you made it through this whole video, do me a favor and I want you to type in FedNow in the comment section. Until next time, y'all already know. Peace out.